Hi, and welcome to my channel, Laura's Library Card. So, sorry for the weird different location. My husband is live streaming right now, and I did not want to be the wah 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 in the background of his live stream, and I did not want him to be the background of my video. So, bear with me. We are going to do a stack status video and kind of combine that with a mid-month check-in and also a Tropeical Readathon update. So, let's just dive right in. So my stack status videos is where I talk about my stacks of books and what I have recently read, what I am currently reading, and my immediate TBR. So I recently finished Days of Blood and Starlight by Laini Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter of Smoke and Bones trilogy, and I am buddy reading this with Izzy from Happy for Now and Megan from Meowth Vader, and we are reading a book a month, and this book is the second book. So I do feel like a lot of the elements are still there. We have very atmospheric writing is still there. The world building is even further expanded in this second book. A lot of our, favorite characters who were established in the first book have come back, but this definitely to me has sort of like second book syndrome where it's definitely like a transition between book one and book two. Book one really functioned to lay out the characters and kind of like get the start of a story, and then two is sort of the repercussions of one and the setup for three. I read book three years ago and have like essentially no memory of it. So I did feel like this book kind of struggles with that transition, but also this book is very bleak. The main characters, especially both Karoo and Akiva, but Karoo is definitely like got some PTSD issues and trauma that she experienced at the end of book one and sort of between the two books. And so she is just having a rough time of it. And Akiva is also having a rough time of it. And so there is a lot of bleak moments in this book, but I really felt like Zuzana and Mick, our side characters, helped bring some levity and some break up some of that like intensity. But I don't know. I would definitely say that like I rate this book a little bit lower than the first book just because it starts to it gets so heavy, and it kind of just is that transition, and it doesn't really drive the plot forward. So I am still really enjoying this world and the story and the world building, and I love where we end the second book. There's definitely a lot going on, and the setup for the third book is amazing. I think it's just really heavy and kind of sad. So I can't wait to dive into the last book, probably in April. And what else have I recently finished? I recently finished The Rivalry by Nikki Sloane. This is a contemporary sports romance. Um, this book follows a main character, Kayla, who goes to the Ohio State University, and she meets a guy at a wedding, Jay, who attends Michigan University. And in real life, these are schools that have a like real serious rivalry. And I grew up in Ohio and have spent a lot of time in central Ohio and some time in Toledo. And this is a real thing. This is a real thing. People, I have legitimately, by strangers never met before, been asked Scarlet or Blue. And it's a thing. And I'm always like, is that a sports reference? So I definitely know that this is a thing. I definitely am surrounded by Buckeyes and fans of OSU, and so I thought this was going to be really fun setting for this book, and it was. It definitely is full of this rivalry, and the two main characters meet at a wedding and hit it off, and then when she finds out that he goes to the dreaded, school up north, she is kind of, she basically says we can't be together, and he's like, don't give up on what we have. We should try to make it work. And I thought it was really really steamy. I enjoyed the sex parts. I liked the writing a lot. I really enjoyed the rivalry part just because it felt like familiar to me, and they like name drop a bunch of places around Ohio that I'm like, been there, have family there. I do feel at the end, it was really fun. It was a quick read. I laughed out loud quite a number of times, and it felt like there was good tension, both like conflict in the book as well as the sexual tension. I really appreciated that Kayla is admired for being an athlete just as much as Jay is an athlete, and both of that, she's a cheerleader, and both of them are like, we are student athletes who like that is a huge focus in our lives. I loved that Kayla had a best friend who was in marching band, and that was super fun. And so there was a lot of elements that worked really, really well in this book that I enjoyed. I enjoyed the whole ride. And so I left really feeling like this was like a 4.5, 5-star book. The more I thought about it later, the more I thought, okay, did they actually have a connection other than this like bonding over the bad food at the wedding? And the fact that they had amazing chemistry. And I sort of feel like, that part was really weak looking back on it. So I definitely, if you enjoy a good rivals to lovers, enemies to lovers, if you enjoy sort of steamy times and that instant connection, and also there was a lot of good sex positivity like content in this book. I would say all of those are really good pros, but I also sort of wanted a little bit more character development and relationship development. So, but I really did enjoy the Rivalry, and I kind of want to read more by Nikki Sloane, but I have an inkling this is some of her lightest and fluffiest works, so I don't know if I'm going to get into her darker stuff. So I always talk most about my recent reads, but what am I currently reading? So in my stack of currently reading books, I am shaking the camera. I am currently reading The Reckless Oath We Made by Bryn Greenwood. This is a book for a real life book club that I'm in. It was supposed to be last week, and I realized like the night before that I hadn't even started the book. So I quickly emailed everyone and we pushed it to this Wednesday, which is St. Patrick's Day. So I am now currently only at 8%, so I still don't have that much time to try to read this book. But so far, it's definitely drawing me in the first 8%. And we are following Z, is one of our main characters. She has it sounds like some chronic pain issues that she's dealing with. It also opens with her being like a drug mule. She's trying to transport 100 pounds of weed or something and not get caught. And her life is kind of falling apart in a lot of ways, and she has the sister who might have just gone missing. And then one of the other main characters is a guy named Gentry, and he is an interesting character that I don't know that much about yet, but we've gotten his point of view as well as him from Z's point of view, and he speaks like a ye old knight, like how we would think that a ye old knight would speak, with like givest and thou and taketh, and his point of view was interesting to read, but definitely took a little extra mental effort to kind of decode. So I am enjoying this, and I'm really interested to see where this is going to go, but I'm not that far in. So I also today started the Warlord Wants Forever, which is the actually 0.5 book in the Immortals After Dark series that I guess in the chronology. But this is the next book for the Immortals After Dark read along that I'm participating in. So The Warlord Wants Forever is by Kresley Cole, and it is short. It's like only half as long as most of the other books. So I guess it's a novella. We're following Nikolai and Mist. Nikolai is a vampire and Mist is a Valkyrie. We've seen them in a couple other of the books, and they are together. And this is Fated Mates, and so I'm not that far into it. I think I'm only a quarter of the way through, but they've met, and she has like blooded him, aka he has recognized her as his fated mate, and she's kind of leaving him hanging. So I'm enjoying this. I'm happy I got the audiobook, because the last 1 or 2 books that I've gotten in the Immortals After Dark series, I've only had the ebook, and I really enjoyed the narrator for this series. So I'm happy that I can be diving back into the audio versions. So my last stack is what is on my immediate reading horizons. I have a number of books kind of ready to go. I have the next book in the Immortals After Dark read-along, which is Untouchable. And I have, Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas just came available through my library card, and I checked it out, even though it wasn't originally part of my TBR. And with the month that I'm having, especially at work, I don't know that I'm going to have any extra time to get to any extra books, or even the 11 that I declared I hope to read. So I checked that out. Maybe I'll get to it. I also have, spoiler alert, checked out from the library, and the library, I've had this out for so long that the library thinks I lost it. So yeah, I really need to get to spoiler alert. I am excited for it. I can't wait to dive in. I have heard a lot of positive things about this book. I really love the idea of it being kind of centered, or a main focus point being about fan fiction and fandom and being nerds, and it's got good fat rep, so I am looking forward to starting spoiler alert. I did say that I wanted to use this video as a update for the Tropeical Readathon. That is what I'm participating in March. So far I have read 4 books in March that I have been able to count towards the Tropeical Readathon. I mentioned Days of Blood and Starlight, which is a buddy read that ticks that prompt, and I mentioned the Rivalry, which is I'm using for the coming of age, because they're, in college and finishing college and starting to become adults and finish that sort of transitory period. I also in March finished the book before, like the 6th book in the Immortals After Dark series, which is Kiss of a Demon King, and I used that in the absent/dead parents box trope for the Tropeical Readathons, because they're immortals and they don't have parents who are around. And then the first book that I finished in March was Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Jesse, and I used that for the multiple characters of color, or people of color, and prompt. And yeah, so my currently reading books, The Reckless Oath We Made, I plan to use for the e-book alternate prompt, and the Warlord Wants Forever, I'm kind of stretching it here, but not really now that I've started it. I'm using for the war setting trope, because it definitely starts like in a battle, and there's sort of this ongoing war between good and evil in the whole series, so I'm counting that one. And then the books that I mentioned as I hope to get to soon on my TBR, spoiler alert, is a celebrity romance, and Cemetery Boys, like I said, I didn't have that planned, but so many people have recommended it to me that I could just use that as a somebody else chose this book for me prompt. I have Untouchable, which is a one-word title book, and then I also have checked out Love from A to Z by S.K. Ali, and that is the book, the romance team book choice. So I want to read that because it's a team book and it's worth more points, and I have it checked out, so I might try to prioritize that just because it's a team book, and then I can participate in the discussion for more of the month. So for my Tropeical Readathon, I don't feel like I'm quite like on track, because I've only finished 4 out of my hopeful 11 books, and we're about halfway through the month, and 4 is not half of 11. But I kind of knew going into this month that I probably wasn't going to finish those 11 books, just because I have a lot of stuff happening in my personal life, especially with work, and I'm just not getting through the audiobook content that I normally manage to get through every month. So yeah, of those 4 books that I have finished, I have reviewed all of them. You can find links down in the description to my Goodreads pages, where I try to leave a review for every book that I finished. It's been about 1,500 pages, and I have the only other thing I wanted to say, sort of my mid-month check-in, is that I have a couple videos filmed I worked on over the weekend that are part of a new series I'm hoping to put out, and so I'm hoping to do that kind of probably twice a month. Keep an eye out. I might try to post the first one this week on Friday, like the 19th, or maybe Saturday the 20th. So keep an eye out for that. And I also, going forward, am going to work harder on having closed captions on my videos. When I first started my channel, this was something that I felt was really important, and worked to have the first maybe 20 videos that I put out. And then I just kind of got lazy and let it go. And even though I am not hard of hearing, I use captions on like literally every YouTube video that I turn on, and Netflix and DVDs. And it's like, if the captions are an option, I have them on. So I realized that, and also I realized how important it is for everybody else who likes captions or who needs them. And so I've been trying to get back into it, and it's a lot of work. And that's why I got lazy and kind of let a bunch of my videos in the middle couple months of my channel go without captions. But I would like going forward to make captions a bigger priority and ideally have them done before a video goes live. But if that is not doable with my life schedule, then I'm going to try to do it like within like 24 hours of a video going live. So yes, that is one of my new plans for going forward. And I just wanted to let you be aware of that. So this is the end of the video. If you heard any books that you have read or any authors that you recommend, if you've read something by Nikki Sloane and you recommend a book that you liked by her, that's hopefully not too like dark/taboo romance, put that down in the comments. I would love to hear a recommendation. What do you think, if you have read the Immortals After Dark series, what do you think about participating in a read along where they like stick this little novella kind of here between books 6 and 7? I understand now that I'm reading it why people recommend not to start with this book, even though it's chronologically 0.5. I don't know why it was kind of stuck here as opposed to maybe after book 3 or 4, a little bit closer to the front. But if you have thoughts on that, also comment those down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and definitely leave me comments. I love responding to all the comments that people leave me. So thanks so much for watching. Bye. You know, it's really not fun to do a video when you are just staring me down, kitty. My cat is right here on the table. She's just like watching me.